Coming up, Mohammed Fayed pays huge damages to the widow of a business rival, plus a big night for Leeds and Arsenal in Europe. Join us.
The Earth seems to float serenely in space, but this is an illusion.
The big one's coming.
Something so large, it could put an end to life itself.
Kind of makes you think about your own mortality and how fragile life is on this Earth.
We live in a cosmic shooting gallery.
Is it the end of the world as we know it? A new series of Savage Planet begins Monday night at 10:30 on ITV.
On Friday Night's Alright this week, Hollywood superstar Mr. Denzel Washington, EastEnders bad guy Martin Kemp, an exclusive chat with Macy Gray, and there's music from the gorgeous Gabrielle. Join me, Ian Wright, on Friday Night's Alright at 10:30 on ITV.
Pharmaton capsules. Taken daily, this special combination of vitamins, minerals and purified ginseng helps you get back to normal. Fight fatigue with Pharmaton.
So, you said ejector seat. Is that your final answer? You confident? You sure? Because this time, it's for the bickie.
Julie, for £25,000. I asked you, what did the button on 007's gear lever operate in The Spy Who Loved Me? You said, a missile. Julie. Julie.
How do you do? Can I interest you in a lift? So you've been driving for long then? Actually, I'm a sportsman. You may recognize me. No, I don't follow sport, me. I think it's time for a little refreshment. Ah, Nescafe Original. I'd recognise it anywhere. Splendid. Hang about. You're that boxer, aren't you? Yeah, Frank Bruno.
There's no mistaking Nescafe Original.
Nescafe.
Is your body ready to experience extreme pleasure? Your pupils will dilate. Nasal receptors will be stimulated. Saliva glands will be activated. Serotonin levels in your brain will heighten. Your heart will beat faster. And your adrenaline levels will soar. All this from a frozen pizza. You'll understand when you try Freschetta. It's made from only the finest ingredients. And because the dough isn't pre-cooked, it bakes and rises in the oven. Freschetta. Experience the pleasure.
If you're looking for a new home, another home, a little place in the country, a big place in the country, an enormous pile, or a stately pleasure home, you're sure to find the right home at rightmove.co.uk, the home of home buying on the internet.
Save up to 50%.
Can't stop.
With an extra 10% off on top.
Got to rush.
The MFI homework sale must end March 15th.
So what time's it over there, Dad?
It's 4:30. Have you got your next move ready?
Yep. Bishop tonight too.
Not bad. Anyway, it's your bedtime. I'll fax you my move.
Okay.
Jack, do you have a view on that?
With fax and email as well as the phone, it's never been easier to stay in touch.
I think he's got us this time.
Oh, excuse me, sir. This fax came for you. Not bad news, I hope, sir.
I need to make a phone call.
Just shows what a good teacher you are, Dad.
Wherever you are, stay in touch.
In half an hour, a special edition of Videotech reviews this year's Brit Awards, and that's here on Carlton.
Fayed ordered to pay huge damages to old rival's widow. NATO denies a spy gave bombing secrets to Serbia. She's not a vile woman. Edwina Curry's libel win. And a good night for Leeds and Arsenal in the UEFA Cup.
From ITN, the ITV Nightly News with Nicholas Owen.
Good evening. The Harrods owner, Mohammed Al Fayed, today agreed to pay more than £1.5 million to the widow of his old business rival, Tiny Rowland. It was compensation for jewels mysteriously taken from Mr. Rowland's safety deposit box at Harrods. Mr. Fayed again denied any personal responsibility for the theft. Hull Jones has the details.
For Tiny Rowland's widow, here with her daughter, this case was about more than simply money. The family will receive more than £1.5 million from Mohammed Al Fayed, but they wanted to see the Harrods owner face a criminal court.
Why would your client have preferred a criminal prosecution in this case?
I think she, and indeed her late husband Tiny, always thought this case was properly one for the criminal courts. After all, his safe deposit box was broken into on at least 3 occasions. His emeralds and other valuable items disappeared.
Tonight, the circumstances under which the contents of Tiny Rowland's deposit box disappeared remain unclear. Rowland had maintained a box there since 1935, long before Mr. Fayed took control. Mohammed Al Fayed and some of his staff here at Harrods have admitted responsibility for opening Tiny Rowland's deposit box, but they say they were not personally responsible for stealing any of the valuables inside. Tiny Rowland and Mohammed Al Fayed were, by turns, business associates and bitter rivals. Rowland died 2 years ago, but the legal battle over the box went on.
In this extraordinary battle between these foreign tycoons, you're talking about the prize, and the prize was Harrods, and he's sitting in Knightsbridge, and Rowland's ashes are scattered somewhere unknown.
Yet this has been a costly defeat for Mr. Fayed, no stranger to the High Court. Last year, he fought off a libel action by the former MP, Neil Hamilton. Mr. Hamilton was delighted by today's outcome.
Well, I'm very pleased that justice has been done at long last, and this case has been many years in getting to the end, and at last Mrs. Rowland has got what she deserves, justice.
In line with his own form of justice, Mr. Fayed has been battling on another legal front, trying to halt the memoirs of Princess Diana's bodyguard, Trevor Rees-Jones. At Harrods, Mr. Fayed is also facing the loss of royal warrants. The area inside the store where the deposit boxes are kept is known as the Citadel of Security, a citadel with something of a tarnished reputation. Howell Jones, ITN.
The NATO Secretary-General and Britain's former Defence Secretary, Lord Robertson, tonight denied any knowledge or evidence of a spy reported to have operated inside NATO headquarters during the Kosovo conflict. The spy is said to have betrayed details of NATO's airstrikes to the Serbs, allowing them to move troops and armour to safety. Our Europe correspondent Bill Neely reports.
At NATO headquarters in Brussels today, vehement denials that there's a spy in this building or in its ranks. There's no evidence, says NATO, that Yugoslavia got any top-secret information.
Let me make it absolutely clear that we have no knowledge and no evidence that the air tasking order was ever leaked to the Serbs or otherwise compromised.
An American military report says the Serbs knew when and where NATO bombers would fly and what their targets were. Knew because they were told by a NATO spy. At the start of the war, 600 NATO personnel had computer access to the daily air raid information. Within weeks, 500 were removed from the list. The report says suddenly the Serbs knew much less. The US report does not speculate on which of NATO's 19 countries the alleged spy comes from.
I'm not surprised if the report turns out to be true, because quite frankly, those of us that have actually worked in NATO headquarters have always considered the place to be extremely unreliable from the point of view of information. It leaks like a sieve.
True or not, these allegations will have serious consequences for NATO, because they will deepen suspicions in the United States about the reliability of some European allies, and they will harden the conviction there that in a NATO crisis, few can be trusted and only America can lead. Bill Neely, ITN at NATO headquarters in Brussels.
Aid officials in Mozambique are trying to investigate reports that more than 20,000 people are on the move through an isolated area in the west of the country looking for food.